We are what? We are who? We are what? Vibrant. We are who? 50 plus. Hi, welcome to Gray Lives on the Rise. I am your host, Professor Jamila Franklin, and we are coming to you from Oyende Enterprises, being sponsored by Jamila Sense, which is our product line of aromatherapy products that helps heal the mind, body, and soul. And we are bringing to you Alamaj's rebirthing program, as well as Jamila Sense and a host of wonderful programs that will help heal your body, heal your soul, and heal your mind. 50 plus people, we are here to stay. Gray Lives on the Rise. We are what? We are who? We are vibrant, and we are here to stay. Join us for our wonderful episodes. Thank you, and continue to look for our episodes weekly, being brought to you again from Oyende Enterprises and Jamila Sense. See you soon. Greetings, everyone. Welcome again to another wonderful episode of Gray Lives on the Rise. And today we have the beautiful Chantal DeBrose with us, and she's going to tell you about her amazing life and career and things that she would like to share with you so that you can visit her virtually and maybe in person if you're in the greater Atlanta, Georgia area. She's amazing. Chantal DeBrose is a mentor, a teacher, a guide in all things alchemical, metaphysical, and spiritual. She is an avid supporter of lifelong learning and personal growth during every decade of life. She is a trained Usui Reiki Master, and I am too, energy healer who teaches you how to use your inner wisdom in a practical manner. See, it's really good because a lot of times people are doing things and it's so advanced or so metaphysical or spiritual that people can't grasp it. But she brings it down home for you so you can understand it, so you're not feeling overwhelmed or feeling in awe. So she teaches this in a practical manner to optimize every aspect of your life, find your purpose, and achieve the keys to unlock the blueprint of your success through becoming familiar with your birth chart. Her enthusiasm as a 60-plus goddess comes as a result of overcoming a series of health challenges such as severe inflammation, fatigue, and weight fluctuations. She mainly credits her health and stamina to being dedicated to improving her thought process and taking everything possible into her own hands while being receptive to support from life and loved ones. And see, that's the best thing. If people can tell you from their own personal experiences, you can relate to them more because they've gone through what you're experiencing. When you ask her about her life, Chantal says, "Yesterday was fine. Today is so much better. Welcome to me being 60 plus, and those decades can be better for you too." Chantal provides coaching through the use of your birth chart so that you can chart a path in your later years that fills you with vitality. Chantal believes that today is the perfect day to invest your energy and your focus on how you live in your own skin. So we're going to bring Chantal to you right now. So welcome, Chantal. Thank you for coming. I am so excited about having this conversation with you and being able to discuss all of the wonderful things that you do. So now, I know that you are a multi-talented, multifaceted, beautiful soul, and you're doing some other things. Your day profession is very different than what you're going into now.
That's true.
And so let's talk about Chantal. How did you get to the place where you are now? what was little Chantal like and growing up? And so let's just go over all of those things.
Sure. Well, I was born in Haiti, and we had to leave the country under severe circumstances, like a lot of people who have to leave
Yeah.
because, death was just this close to happening. And this was, for us, it was the dictator had put out a hit on my mother, my brother, and I. So
Oh,
that
wow.
that was the foundation of my childhood, being taken out of my home and dealing with that sense of abandonment where it was really
Yeah.
a matter of survival.
Yeah.
But as a child, you don't know what's going on, so you interpret it as abandonment. So I didn't know these things were in the background, but this was just learning about what was making me make the decisions that I made and having the emotional reaction that I had to life was really the key to being a happier older woman, as
Yeah.
opposed to a diminishing older woman. So
Yeah.
I'm just expanding because I understand myself better. And I started pursuing things like aromatherapy. I'm so glad you're, in aromatherapy, in the
Hmm.
aromatherapy industry realm, teaching modality, because that was one of the first things that I did to just enjoy a little peace and beauty in life.
Hmm. Hmm.
So after that, I just did a lot of seeking on the outside for having inner peace and whatnot. I was always a kid that was into wisdom and seeking wisdom, whether it was from my childhood biblical foundation, which has transitioned into a more global spiritual understanding. But that foundation of learning was still with me in everything that I learned. And
Hmm.
so I just grew as a person as I became less dogmatic and less judgmental. I learned to love myself. I learned to love others. I learned to love others. I gave more love to myself. It became like this
Yeah.
cyclical thing. And you see that you're a part of a collective as opposed to a person who's on their own. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard for me to give you a thread because my life was not a straight line from point A to
Hallelujah.
point
Yeah.
W. It was like
Yeah.
all over the place, but it was for a reason, and it's got me to where I am now. Super
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. That's beautiful. That's wonderful.
Thank you.
And I can see that within you. I can see all those wonderful attributes. And sometimes when we go through challenging experiences, they prune us for something that's greater that is about to happen. So, and I can see that. And so when we go through these troubling or somewhat difficult situations, they're pruning us to be who we are now. And even though when we're going through it, it feels so uncomfortable, we don't like it. It just feels like, when is this going to end?
Yeah.
I've been in those situations a lot.
I
And then
used
when
to
you look back on it, when you reflect, you say, I wouldn't be at this stage now had it not been for those circumstances. So we have a broader perspective about it. We understand it more. We're more patient, but it takes a moment. It takes a moment sometimes for us to get there.
I used
So
Yeah, I used to
yeah,
ask myself, when is this going to end? Those nights
yeah,
of quietly going to sleep while crying.
yeah,
Um, those times when I was triggered about my own self-worth. Um,
yeah,
and then realizing that I had trust issues. And I went, well, no wonder I had trust issues, because we were always worried if they were going to find us, because they did try to get to us while we were in the United States.
really?
Yes, and they had to deport the henchmen that were sent to get us. So having that as the foundation of my
Wow.
development, it required for me to really go deep. So I didn't
Yeah,
have the luxury of messing up in my mind. I was,
yeah,
when I was growing up, there were people who were experimenting with different lifestyles or different things, substances that they would take to alter their reality.
Yeah.
Something inside me said, we don't have time for that.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was driven to find the solution rather than adding an additional problem. And that's how I dealt with my life. And then I
Yeah.
had to deal with my desire for perfection. So
Mm-hmm.
while I was on the right path, I was trying to do it perfectly,
Yeah.
which was kind of an obstacle in the growth process.
Yeah.
And adding to my judgmentalism, if that's a word, of those who were teaching, like how are they teaching me when they haven't figured this out in their own life?
Mm-hmm.
I had to
Mm-hmm.
stop all of that in order to finally break free. And I feel like from my cells down to the cellular level, my cells were begging me to just not be so dogmatic, judgmental, hard on myself, and incorporating a level of, I don't know, internalized issues,
Mm-hmm.
whether it was internalized racism,
Mm-hmm.
internalized misogyny,
Mm-hmm.
internalized anything. I had to find that by just sitting still and getting to know what's going on in there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's so very, very powerful because a lot of times we're so busy living life, especially if we are if we're coming from backgrounds that are very traumatizing, if we are women and women of color, people of color, our histories can be very different than people who've had a privileged life. So to sit back, I used to tell people, judge people, so as a woman of African origin, you have to make an appointment to have a nervous breakdown. You have, you have to fit it on your calendar. Can't do it on Tuesday because I have to take the children here. Can't do it on Wednesday because I have this going on. I have to lead some workshops. I can't, I have to make an appointment. So to sit back and
Oh,
take the time to do self-reflection, I think is beautiful because we've not been allowed that space and we haven't really traditionally heard the narrative. And with you, I'm so in amazement for you and your family to first to have escaped with your lives and then come here and that element tracks you down here in the States. But this
mm-hmm.
just seems like the creator of the universe and the ancestors were always there protecting you, always there
Always,
protecting you, you know?
always. And, it's a bit of a metaphor, isn't it? That
Yeah,
wherever we go, there we are.
yes,
Even though it was showing up on the outside, but wherever you go, the circumstances are the same. You have to become a different person that vibrates differently in order to clear what's happening in your life over and over and over again.
that's true. That's true. Because
I mean,
everything is energy. That is so true, Chantal. That is
it,
true.
it is a powerful lesson. It's not like, oh, I'm responsible for the dictator wanting to kill a couple of kids and a singer who was opposed to his political views. My mom was a professional singer. So she had some notoriety. So he didn't want someone with notoriety being against him and getting away with it. He wanted to make an
Mhm.
example because that's what he did. Dictatorships, they will make sure that everybody knows that nobody's going to get away with anything.
Mhm.
And that's how they control people's minds.
Mhm.
My mom, though she was just in her 20s when this was happening.
Mm.
She had a strong prayer life, so her belief system was powerful. And that's
Mm.
how she was able to convince the assassin not to kill her.
Wow.
And she was able to direct him and say, okay, go over here. And this person will make sure that you're okay. But I'm going to be killed, he says. And he goes, no, no, you won't be. And things were taken care of for him so that he could escape and leave, because if he didn't carry out his mission, he would have been killed. And so would his family. So they had to take
So,
care.
so did they leave the
They
country?
did. They did. They
Okay.
had to leave in order to survive themselves. And then the guys that were sent when we lived in Florida, we don't know what happened to them because it was just like, I'm sorry, that's out of our hands. We don't have any connections there anymore. But it was just one drama after another, starting from the age of like 5.5 to 6,
Wow.
all the way till I got married, and kind of repeated a pattern of being a victim.
Mm,
I didn't know anything else but I thought I was doing a better job because I'm an adult now. I'm choosing this, and I'm not going to have the same life. Well, I did have
mm,
the same life in some ways,
mm-hmm,
energetically.
mm-hmm.
So you really do have to take some time to go within, and to take time to go within requires that appointment that you make with yourself. You take the
It
time.
does.
Nobody
It
gives you
does.
permission. I
Mm,
took the time
yeah.
to learn how to free myself from my lineage of whatever it was from my grandmother. As far as I know, from my grandmother, there was sorrow. Then my mother, then myself. I said, I'm not passing this down to my daughter or my son.
Mm-hmm,
So for their sake, I made sure it stopped here. And
mm-hmm,
as a result of caring about my progeny, the next generation, it gave me a gift because I had
mm-hmm,
to live it so that they could see it for themselves and go, oh, wow, mom, we've seen you grow. Mom, we love how you're always learning new things. And we have such
mm-hmm,
a strong, empowered relationship where I have given them agency over their lives while an open door to talk to me about anything.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Wow, that's really important and powerful. And like you said, the first step is to do self-reflection, to sit with self and to block out the external noise and see how you may be attracting certain things unconsciously. And then sometimes too, my belief is that sometimes you come in with an energetic imprint that from another life, from another lifetime. So some of
Yeah,
the things may have very little to do with you now, but may have been from a karmic life and you came back here to correct it.
I
So
believe that.
so I look at all of that. I'm like, okay. And I tell people usually, if you've done everything, if you've been very kind and nice to a person, and the person is acting in a very strange and bizarre way, that's a karmic debt because you came in here, you agreed to come in here to work that out in this lifetime, even though you don't have the conscious memory of it. But the thing you can see is you've only been kind to this person. This person's just been um, really not kind to you.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's something that you have to, well, you don't have to, but look at the karmic reason because that's what's operating. But I think this is so wonderful. You are a person who has overcome. You are a person who could could have very easily settled into victimization, and you are a person who could have felt justified in doing so because here you are a child with your mom and they're coming after you. You hadn't done anything, but
Mhm.
you sat back and chose to reflect and to forgive. And I think I know that forgiveness is one of the most challenging things to do, particularly if you've been very kind to people in this lifetime and they haven't been kind to you. However, and I tell people, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you.
Mhm. Yes.
So you wake up every morning and say, I don't like Sinead. She's done these things to me. And you wait and you have to remember when you see Sinead, I got to have a frown on my face to let her know that I don't like her. But that keeps you in prison because every time you see her, you have to go into this energy. You could have been happy all along, and then you see her and you become stiff. And I just so commend you because your life is amazing. And you've chosen to go into a field to help you continue to heal and to heal people, men and women, who are going
Yes.
through some kind of trauma, spousal abuse, racism, misogynism, whatever, ageism, you can
Right.
help them.
All the isms. And here's the
Yeah.
thing, Jamila. I learned to value my anger.
Yes, I love
Because
that. Repeat that, Chantal. I love that. I love that.
I learned, yes, I
Yes,
learned to
I
value
love
my
that.
anger because one of the things that I did very well was suppress my anger.
Yeah.
Coming coming from I think it's like this in the South as well, but coming from a Haitian household where the parents are the ultimate authority, you do
Mm-hmm.
not, even in your facial expression, show any displeasure as a child.
Mm-hmm.
You could get
Yeah. I was raised like that too.
chastised. Yeah, you could get
I'm from the
chastised.
South. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you have to control the expression on your face.
Yes.
And when I had realized how much I was being a people pleaser
Mm.
and not recognizing that I was really ticked off about something
Yeah.
because I was so good at it that I stuffed it way down to the point where I couldn't even feel anger. So I didn't recognize I was angry.
Mm.
When I started giving myself permission to recognize I was angry, then I had to learn how to manage my anger
Mm-hmm.
because you don't learn how to manage it unless you felt it.
Exactly.
So at first
Very
I
good
was
point.
pissed off, F bombs and just, letting it out because I didn't have any practice on managing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to practice within some confined ways, as an adult. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
throw things around and break things like a, a 2-year-old having a temper tantrum because I was never
Mm-hmm.
allowed to have a temper tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
you have to find a way to release it, whether it's writing exactly
Yeah.
what you're feeling or going outside and, like they have these people who go into the forest and yell into the forest or yell into their
Mm-hmm.
pillow. Let that be a process, but don't let it be something that you're stuck constantly doing because the point is to learn to manage your anger, not to be a slave to your anger either.
Yes, I love that. And the thing is, this is the trick that they played with women, especially with Black women. If you express any kind of anger, and so now things have changed, but I mean, 20, 30 years ago, they would call you hysterical, they would call you
Mhm.
histrionic, they would try to medicate you because you were not supposed to show any displeasure about anything. You were not supposed to have any hormone, and they weren't looking at hormones. They just started writing prescriptions, doctors did, to say that there was something emotionally wrong with you. And they found out when women were having children and they weren't connecting with their babies afterwards. That was a hormonal thing. It wasn't something that they created on their own. They just didn't do the research. So
Mhm.
now they're understanding, and women are saying, I don't care if you don't feel comfortable with my anger. I'm going to express it. I'm not going to bottle it up because it would turn into cancer. It would turn
Mhm.
into a brain aneurysm. It would turn into something that's going to affect me, and I'm entitled to it. And so when men show theirs, they are assertive. Women, you're aggressive. I mean,
Mhm.
the same energy, but you weren't permitted. And then for women of color, particularly Black women, she's just hot tempered and she flares off, at the drop of a hat when they're doing things that are not correct. So I tell people, I'm so with you.
Mhm.
Anger is healthy. It lets you know when you are not being honored. So to
Mhm.
stuff it means that you are suppressing poor behavior from others or from yourself. It's letting you know you're not in alignment with spirit. I love that.
So true. And the history for women in general, because I've studied women of all backgrounds. So in the Victorian age, Black women were doing a lot of work outside of their own homes if they had a home. But white women were not allowed to express any emotion either. And
Mm.
then they came up with, I think you may have studied this. They came up with a way of getting rid of a woman's uh, hysterical behavior was to put her in a home, or a mental institution. And then they invented the thing called the vibrator to help remove her hysterical tendencies. And I'm like,
Oh, really?
yes. So it's kind of weird, the invention of these things to try to get women to calm down and get rid of their hysterics. And then when you go further back in Greek literature, I read one, I can't remember who it was, but one piece where they said women are so obsessed with sex because they're closer to the earth. So they're more like animals. Isn't that how weird how things change? They're more like animals. But if men love each other, it's closer to spiritual. So it's just justifying whatever that society's ideas were for being ideal. And when women are set aside, when medicine was taken out of the hands of women, people weren't washing their hands when they were giving birth. So lots of babies died, lots of women died. And then they were like anti-germ theory because they said, well, if I can't see it, it can't possibly kill me if it's that small. We're not like that in general. We won't say that if something is small, it doesn't matter. We might see the value of something really tiny.
Yeah.
And learn from it. And that's why we're needed. And they say that we hold up half the sky. We do.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that is so true. And I think your research is showing that we need to validate ourselves as opposed to having external forces validate us and tell us what to do with our bodies, what to do with our minds. And like currently what's happening, that all of your rights are they're trying to suppress rights. And they don't have the ability to do that because you're sovereign. And people have to stand up, especially women, and say, no, this is truly happening to me. I'm not being histrionic. I'm not being hysterical without cause. Something is happening within my body biologically. And because you are a male, you can't relate to it, but I know it's happening within me. And I'm not going to allow you to define me as being crazy because I'm not. It's something that's going on. And I'm going to give it space so I can investigate to see exactly what's going on. Because women and men too, you're the owner of your vessel called your body. So when you go in to see physicians or therapists or whatever, you tell them your story. And if it doesn't align with what you feel, you have the right to choose and to change physicians, therapists, or whomever you are seeking support, from whom you're seeking support. So don't allow external forces to define you. And like Chantal said, anger is so healthy. Don't live there. Don't pull up a couch
right
and sleep there, but give it space. And then it would pass. It would pass.
Yes. And it's also important to find out if there's just simply a trigger in you that you haven't dealt with. So it's not so much about the other person that has made you angry. So that's my first question. Now, that wasn't the way it was at the beginning. But now my first question is, oh, why is that triggering me like this? This is really bugging me. What have I not dealt with inside of me? Then there's also, it might be both things, a trigger in me and they're being terrible to you. But sometimes it's just you and your reaction, and the other person didn't mean it that way at all, and you just jump to a conclusion. So to know thyself, the most important thing in the world, get to know who you are, what's going on in here. There's a whole lot of stuff in here. A whole lot of things.
That's so true. And I think what you said earlier is self-reflection. I tell people, and I'm working on this every day, to have some time to yourself. Go out in nature, have a nature walk. Get up earlier if you have small children. Well, most of you, because Gray Lives on the Rise is dealing with people who are 50 plus. Like we said on the shirt, Chantal and I have on shorts. Yeah,
Got mine.
On the rise, see?
Hey, mine is out of focus. Oh, darn.
So our focus is on people who are 50 plus because they've tried to stifle our voices and not giving us the space to really talk about what's going on with us, which is very different than when you're in your 20s, your 30s, and your 40s.
Mhm.
So what we have to do is allow ourselves to have that time to reflect through meditation. I tell people pray once about something. Don't keep praying the same prayer. Pray once about it, then meditate often. Meditate means to listen to what Spirit, God, Allah, Jehovah is telling you about it. And if we keep asking, it means that we don't believe that we've already received it, because we have. Whenever you ask, it is given. But if we're busy and not taking time, like Chantal said, in terms of self-reflection, you're not going to be able to get the answer. So you ask, and then you sit back and you reflect on it. So Chantal, I know that you are doing so many wonderful things. You're Usui Reiki Master, and you teach people how to go within themselves. So if I were a client and I would like to seek your services, walk me through what your process would be.
Well, my process, if you want Reiki session, then we can do a simple Reiki session.
Mm-hmm.
For
For
me,
those who may not be familiar with Reiki, can you just explain
it,
it to them?
it's an energetic system that was kind of, I would say, rediscovered. I feel like it's
Yeah,
something that has existed for many, many years, but they've
yeah,
given it the name Reiki um, just recently, meaning back in the 70s, 80s, and it took on in the United States. And
mm-hmm.
you help the healing energies flow through you, through your hands, through your existence to the person who is asking for energetic support. Because a lot of
Yeah,
times people are off, they're off balance through their energy. And
yeah,
in the process, I get to sense where someone is blocked, and I also
mm-hmm.
receive intuitively like visuals. It depends on the person, but I'll get visuals and I'll express the visuals. So there's a little bit of a and beyond what Reiki teaches, I'm just being
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
In addition, what I wanted to do, and this is why I do the life chart, the birth chart with people, I want people to own that self-healing process. So that's why I do the intuitive readings with them, and I teach them how to do intuitive readings themselves so that they can take care of what they need. Not that they don't seek out assistance, but so that they can feel that they can help themselves. They know how to receive that intuitive guidance.
Mm-hmm. So with your intuitive system, are you using cards, or are you using a pendulum? Are you
Um,
teaching people how to be clairaudient?
well,
What does
I
that involve?
this is a set of can't see it here. Maybe I need to take off the
Yeah, it,
background.
it, it comes and goes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to make it not be an ugly background, but let's see what happens. So it's a series of an oracle deck,
Uh-huh.
and the oracle deck is based on, okay, I took off the blur. The oracle deck is based on nature. So these
Okay.
images are images of nature. Like this one is earth, and the word is grounded.
Mm.
So as we go through um, learning, because I teach people how to become an oracle deck reader
Mm.
as well. But as you go through each element, starting, let's say, with earth, earth is about grounding. Earth, just think about earth. Where do you see earth? You see it on the sides of a river. So it's the banks of a river. And,
Mhm.
and so that is synonymous with planning and structure.
Mhm. Mhm.
You use earth to build your buildings, you clay. So that's earth. Your body is earth. So to have something manifest in the physical, that is earth. So it's very physical. Then we talk about water. I want people to understand these basic elements because we've been talking about it for thousands and thousands of years, and it's still true to this day. So
Yeah.
water is your feeling principle, but water is also flow. How is
Mm-hmm.
your creative flow going? So there is a water kind of feeling to how you flow. Your cash flow
Mm-hmm.
is water as well. So while cash might be considered earth, but the flow of your cash is water.
Yeah.
Okay. And
And you
then,
know what's interesting about that a little bit is that in feng shui, they tell you about water with your bathroom to always put the lid down on the toilet, because if you
mhm,
don't, the money will flow out through the water, and to
mhm,
close the bathroom door. And
mhm.
then if you have any water leaks in your home or apartment, your money is flowing out. So that's true. Yeah.
I have I have often had water leaks when I have been the angriest.
Mm.
Yeah, my son was the one that brought it to my attention. He says, "Mom, when this happened in the house." And I was like, "That's true." And then when something else, I made a decision just recently. I was really not pleased with what was going on. And then there was a leak in the front of my house, a water leak
Mm.
in the street. And I was like, okay. I'm not saying I caused it, but it does make me pause and consider how strongly I feel about something.
Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
very powerful point. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you start to look around and let the world around you have a conversation with you.
Mm. I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, when you talk about the air, air is about communication, it's about thought. You can't
Mm-hmm.
have sound vibrations without air. That's why there's no noise in space because there's no air. There's no what we
Mm-hmm.
what makes up air includes oxygen, nitrogen, and other things. And these
Yeah.
molecules allow for sound to carry through the air.
Yeah.
So it's
Wow.
all about communication and the mental realm and your thought process. And then there's fire. Fire is your action realm. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so you all okay, let's use money again. The money may be an earth principle. Your
Right.
flow may be water. Your ideas may be air for your business ideas. And your fire is taking action to make that vehicle move forward.
Mm.
And then
Like
spirit,
they say in I'm sorry, in Christianity, faith without works is dead. You have to do something. Yes. Like
yes,
you said, the action part. Yeah.
you have to take action. And then
Yeah.
spirit is that overarching thing that guides us to go and have vision beyond what is in existence now.
True.
So
Hmm.
you have to have a little creativity, and to have a little creativity requires that you have trust
Oh yeah. Oh
because it
yeah.
didn't exist before.
Yeah.
So you're just kind of going blind, but with faith.
Yeah.
So that's the foundation. And then beyond the elements, we go into your astrological archetypes. So
Mm.
the 12 astrological archetypes of, Aries and Gemini and Cancer. Well, we don't just talk about your sun sign. We talk about eight
Mm.
parts of your chart that are the most impactful. I'm gonna turn my the sun is shining beautifully. That that are the most impactful in your daily life. So you do have your sun, your moon, um, Jupiter, midheaven, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, and your
Mm.
rising sign. So all of these have a purpose in your life. And
Mm.
and as we go through it, you would say, okay, so my sun sign is, let's say mine is Libra. That means I love beautiful things. I like to read, intellectual, but it being my sun sign, that means this is the fuel that I burn. It means that when
Mm.
I do something that is beautiful and intellectual, and I have the opportunity to think about it, I feel really good. It stirs me up.
Mhm.
And that's why my day job has been being a quality manager. It takes a lot of thought to
Yeah.
organize things so that it's a beautiful process.
So you've been able to beautifully interweave it, your day linear job with your intuitive self, and it
Yes.
feeds your soul. That's wonderful. That
Yes.
is wonderful. So the client comes to you as a Reiki client, and does he or she automatically get the intuitive reading, or is that something that's separate?
That's something that's separate. But
Mm-hmm.
I will give them the elements and let them know the foundations of
Mm-hmm.
what they would be getting into. And if they're interested, then they can have a full session with me. And this is something that takes weeks as opposed to a session or a one-off thing. Now
Mm-hmm.
you can get some coaching, but the best thing to do is to go through my 6-week program where
Mm-hmm.
you understand why we're doing this, and then you could go deeper into it yourself.
Oh, okay. So you have a 6-week program that walks people through the different stages and phases of who they are and the shadow self and all of that. That's
Exactly.
wonderful. So you have the private Reiki session, and then you have the 6-week session, and then you have the intuitive reading.
Intuitive oracle reading, you can either do a session just with
Mm-hmm.
that, or I can teach you how to be an oracle reader, and that's a 6-week program also.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
then we have a life purpose mastery. That's a 12-week program.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah,
That's wonderful. I'm sorry, go ahead.
it's important to lay the foundation. And then
Right,
if you find that you have a passion
right,
that says, let's go further, then you add on to it. A lot of people
right.
want to jump to mastery when they haven't really gotten to know the basics. So it's not trying to force you to go step by step. It's just you're going to benefit by by going step by step. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
benefit by embodying each layer
Mm-hmm.
so that as you grow, you become more solid in how you are as a person and you're not thrown off your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Won't
Mm-hmm.
be thrown off. It can't be because you'll be so solidly you.
And I think that's really important because, like you said, people tend to want to not deal with the foundation. They want to jump in. Oh, I know that I have some triggers. I know this, that, and the other. I just want to get to the therapeutic part. But look, you have to deal with the foundation, because if you don't deal with the foundation, it's going to lessen the impact and the effect of the other parts. And sometimes you can't even get to the more advanced parts because they're so connected to the foundational piece. Yeah. I tr-
Exactly.
so you
Exactly.
have a 6-week program, you have a 12-week program, you
Mm-hmm.
have individual Reiki sessions, individual intuitive reading sessions,
Yes.
and there was one more. What am I missing?
Uh, there's a 12-week. I teach you how to become, how to actually have life purpose mastery, so that you can direct your life. You pull everything together and
Mm-hmm.
start directing your life more consciously and actively,
Mm-hmm.
without the can I, because there are times when people go through training. Let's see if I can change it. People go through training and they doubt themselves
Yeah,
because it isn't internalized. It isn't a
yeah,
part of them. It's just I know.
yeah.
I've been there. I knew everything. I knew it. But
I've been there too. Yeah.
when I had to be it, that was a totally different thing.
Yeah, and the thing I love about what you do is you're teaching people how to apply the theories. It's not abstract. It's not like going to college. You learn the theory,
Yeah.
you memorize it so you can take the test or write the paper,
Mhm.
but there's no practical application. It's just all for the learning a linear process to know more. And I think that's great, but it's very seldom do people apply what they learned in some college courses to the real world. I think it's a good foundation, but in terms of practical application, and you're combining both. You're teaching people the theories behind these systems, and you're showing them how to apply it to their lives, so they can then apply it to their clients' lives. I think that's wonderful. I think that's wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's just from, like you said, it's from life experience where I realized I needed to do the work.
Yeah.
I couldn't just read the wonderful books by Wayne Dyer and Eckhart Tolle or what's on the
Louise
Oprah
Hay,
list.
Michael Beckwith. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, you can't just read it. You need to start taking some action. You need to really forgive. You need to really change your diet. If you have inflammation, you're not going to your inflammation away. Although some people could, but you may not have reached that point because if you have inflammation, you haven't manifested removing it.
Yeah.
So there's something else you may want to do, like changing the foods that you eat.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
Drinking more water, getting some
Definitely.
rest. And these are
Definitely.
all elements of longevity have to do with how you take care of your cells and your tissues.
Yeah.
And you learn these things because why? I learned that earth matters. For me, brain was what mattered most. I wanted to have all A's. And there came a point when I realized my body matters. Oh my God.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
My
Mm-hmm.
body has some needs. And I'm not just talking about food and,
Yeah.
fun times. I'm talking about my body needs the water. My body needs the sun. My body needs to eat properly. My body
Yeah.
needs to move. My body needs to sweat.
Yeah.
My body needs to not eat sometimes. Okay, we're talk about some keys to longevity. Intermittent fasting or fasting for 2 or 3 days if your health allows,
I love that. That's what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to know yourself. Please don't be hard on yourself because I should be able to handle this. If you can't handle it, there's no judgment. Do what you can because it's through those hardship moments by intermittent fasting or fasting for 3 days when you stress your body in a natural, cyclical way, not the stress, not the artificial stress of worrying about whether you can pay your bills or not. I'm talking about in a natural way, like working out or walking. Instead of walking 1 mile, walk 2 miles. So you're stretching, you're stressing your body. They actually break down cells that are too old to function. Those go away so that the newer cells can give you more life. So another metaphor for life is when you're going through something, keep walking. Because when you get through it, you're going to be stronger for it.
Yeah. That is so true. That is so true. And I like the fact that you incorporated the diet because I think a lot of people, well, I always say the term a lot of people, but I think some people tend to think that they can separate that and have the body regenerate healthy cells and be on point. And you can't. There are people who eat a lot of fast foods.
Right.
And I'm primarily vegan, like I mentioned before, so I prepare meals for myself. I feel healthier, I feel happier. And then when I do go out, I look for vegetarian or vegan options because you cannot separate what you put in your body and think that it can function well in terms of the treatments that you provide or whatever, because it's full of toxins. So what you're doing is you're putting something healthy on an unhealthy base. And when they have a session with you, Chantal, people have to understand that sometimes you may feel physically worse because you have so many toxins in you. So Reiki is an energy system to bring things that are really troubling you on all levels up to the surface so you can see it. Reiki doesn't make a decision about it. It just brings things up so you can see what's going on. So So you can make a choice as to whether or not you would like to continue down that path. But your statement about diet, if you're so full of toxins, Reiki is going to bring up all that stuff, and then people will say, "Oh, I feel worse. Let me stop the treatment." No, those things were suppressed in your cells. The anger, whatever it is going to eventually come up and out. That's what Reiki does, is to help you heal. You can't heal if you still dealing with a toxic diet. You can't heal if you're not dealing with some of the emotional traumas that have been in your life. So what Chantal does is, with her Reiki sessions and with her 6-week program, 12-week program, it has you stop running from yourself. I think that's wonderful. Chantal, before we run out of time, I would like for you to give people your contact information, how they can get in touch with you, if you're doing virtual sessions as well as in-person sessions, and tell them, where you are located.
I am located in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, actually Marietta, so that's just outside of Atlanta. And I do most of my sessions virtually, but if you're in a local area, in the Atlanta area, I can meet with you in person. You can find me online at chantaldebros.com. You can find me on Instagram as Chantal Debros. You can find me on Facebook as Chantal Debros. I limit my exposure to
Can you
social
spell
media.
your name for them? Just spell it all out so that they would know.
Okay. I was saying I limit my exposure on social media because it's a lot for me to handle. So I just simply I keep it as simple as possible where people find me. So my name is spelled ChantalDebrosse. So that's chantaldebros.com. And you can book a session through my website.
And you need to get in touch with her. We're now engaging into a time where the seasons are changing. And so the dormant, laid back, restful period of the winter and the fall seasons is now changing. We're heading into a new season. And when this airs, it will air sometime in May. So we're entering into the spring season where there's a rebirth. And let Chantal and her wonderful programs be part of your regeneration and rebirth, because you don't desire, even though it's in the middle, it would be in the middle of the year, you don't desire to continue to repeat, like she was saying, those old patterns. She can help you break free of that, because sometimes we can't see what our blockages are, but someone like Chantal can see the blockages and help you gently move through it without judgment. Can't you feel her energy? Isn't it wonderful? It's just like so calm and peaceful and engaging and inviting. Yeah, yeah. It's so wonderful.
And
So
I'd like to say that when you hear people say that they're experiencing aches and pains because they're older, I say you're experiencing aches and pains because you've maintained some toxins for many years.
very, very true. Very true. Yeah, because people talk about, well, I'm 50 plus or 60 plus, so my sight should be deteriorating. Or I should expect aches and pains because it comes with the age. I said, if you go to first world countries, the countries on the continent of Africa, women are and men in the 80s, 90s, 100s walking for miles. You don't have to program your body to give into that fallacy that because you are a certain number, you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way, and your body is going to fall apart. That's not true. That isn't true. So Chantal, what would you like to leave with our listeners in our last moments?
I would like to leave with the listeners that you can create the life that you want to live at any point in time. You could have been going one direction for decades and just say, okay, I want to do something different. If you were curious about something from your childhood, if you wanted to be an artist, if you wanted to be a dancer, if you were, just something that you haven't done, you can still do that. It's all about how you perceive yourself.
I think that's wonderful.
Mm.
Chantal, thank you so very, very much. And give people your contact information once more. And we're going to have it also in the chat so you can contact her. But
Okay.
please
My
do not
website.
waste any time. Get to her as soon as possible.
Yes, well, my website is www.chantaldebrosse, that's ChantalDebrosse.com. And you can find me on Instagram as Chantal Debrosse and on Facebook as Chantal Debrosse also.
Well, we're looking forward to all these wonderful, wonderful accolades that you're going to receive from this wonderful, beautiful listening audience. I have some really wonderful people because this is global. For those of you who are new, Great Lives on the Rise is a global movement for 50 plus people, regardless of the country of origin. We have had people on from Serbia, from the Netherlands, from Australia, from Canada, from around the world. And now Chantal, who was originally born in Haiti, is now a person who can represent Haiti too. So we are having people from around the world, men, women, all races, all ages. So join us. Go to our YouTube channel. Gray Lives is Gray Lives, Lives, on the Rise, RISE. Click like and subscribe and become part of our community and family. So know that we love you. Enjoy the rest of the day, evening, whatever time you're looking at this wonderful podcast, and get in touch with the lovely Chantal Debrosse. You would not be dissatisfied. You'd be very happy and say, why did I know about this gem earlier? I should have known about her. That's my purpose, to expose people like her to you. Okay, so be well, and until next time, namaste. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Gray Lives on the Rise, being brought to you by Jamila Sense, which is the product line of Oyende Enterprises. Jamila Sense is a 100% natural aromatherapy line that heals the mind, body, and soul. This episode of Gray Lives on the Rise was intended to uplift you, to inspire you, and to motivate you. Please tell all of your friends, family members, and anyone you know who's 50 plus, who's living a vibrant life and interested in doing more and enjoying life even to its fullest. So thank you, and please subscribe, like, and comment on this video and all our videos. Thank you, and until next time, until our next podcast, namaste and be well.